Just a simple video today on how to prepare your car for remapping. Obviously this is based around Subarus, but some of the principles apply to other cars. During the mapping process, your mapper, whether that be me or anyone else, will take every precaution to make sure that your engine is safe, but it makes sense to prepare beforehand to make sure that everything goes well. So what do you need to do to prepare your Subaru for mapping? I'll talk you through the steps. The first thing you should do is make sure there's no oil leaks, particularly from around the turbo area onto the up pipe or from the front of the rocker covers down onto the headers. Any oil onto headers and the extreme heat causes a very big fire risk, so well worth making sure that everything's in order there. Also, the dyno operator will not thank you for having a big clean-up job to do. Second thing to do is check the oil level. So you need to make sure that the oil level on the dipstick, I don't know whether you can see that, is around that full mark. The full mark is the dot, the notch is the hot full mark. If you check both sides of the dipstick as well, because the 2.5s have the habit of reading slightly lower on the front of the dipstick than the back. Obviously if it's low, top it up with your chosen oil. Third thing is check the intercooler hoses, like on this for the top mount and the throttle body. Make sure the clamps are tight. Any air leaks there will mean you'll lose boost and it will run very rich when mapped. And obviously that will be compensated by the mapper, and if you then fix that afterwards, the car would run lean, so not ideal. On a front mount pipe, a good idea inside of the silicone for the joins is to use hairspray. This is the can that I use for that very thing. So that inside the pipes makes them slide on easy, and when you get a bit of heat in there, they glue into place. So bonus tip there. Next item is check for coolant levels. So making sure that you've got no coolant leaks, no hoses that are fraying or expanded, like the top radiator hose in particular and the bottom one. Check the coolant level in the expansion tank. It should be just below the line there when it's slightly warm. If you're mapping on the road, then obviously check the brakes and suspension to make sure that they are up to scratch. You don't want to be ending up in hedges or in fields or over roundabouts or into other cars. For the dyno, it's less important, but it is still nice to have brakes, so pay attention to those. Check the tyres, make sure there's no nails in the tread that are going to be pulled out on the dyno, because that doesn't end well. If you notice, these front tyres are starting to crack. I've got a new set on order and they're becoming racing. The next thing is to make sure that you've got enough fuel. Don't turn up with the fuel tank on empty like this. It doesn't give me much room to map with. So ideally at least quarter of a tank, preferably half a tank. Doesn't need to be full, but best fuel that you can. Is to make sure there's no exhaust leaks, particularly around the headers underneath the engine and the up pipe going up to the turbo, because any leaks there will stop the turbo spooling and will distort the fuel ratio figures that I'll see out the exhaust, and it would need mapping again once it's fixed. So make sure the gaskets in there are proper Subaru gaskets, the triple layer gaskets, rather than the checkerboard ones. And that's it. Car's ready for mapping. Bring it along.